reason there are so many of our viewers that are going to be getting married this summer. Well, guess what? There is a checklist. There are a few things you need to know before you walk down that aisle. Dr. Karyn Gordon is here to help us out. Yeah. So we were discussing this right before the show. We've got courses in everything, math, English, literature, social studies. We don't have a course in marriage.
Or how to be a bride.
How to be a bride. Yep. So we're going to talk a little bit about etiquette, but we're also going to talk about the things that you need to think about before you take that all-important step.
Very big step.
Yeah.
Very big step. Okay, so tip number one. This is going to be really fun for anybody who's getting married this year. You know somebody who's actually getting married. So number one, you want to talk money.
Yeah.
You got to talk money. It's a biggie. And talk expectations. And one of the things I find really powerful around this, weddings can cost a lot of money. And so a lot of times parents contribute, and what I find is that money often equates to control and decision making. So if parents are going to be making, let's say they say, I'm going to give you, you know, we're going to pay for the dinner. Okay, well that's great. Is that a dinner for 100 people, for 150 people? Does that mean that I get to have like 80%, you get to have 20%? It's the details that I find often get overlooked, and it causes a lot of problems. And so I've seen a lot of families where parents will pay, and then parents have their 100 friends, and then the bride and groom have like their 20 friends.
Right.
Because like a little bit of a problem. Yes, yes. Yeah. So you really want to talk about that ahead of time, and then as the bride and groom can say, yeah, I'm agreeing to this, or you know, this isn't really maybe a good fit for me.
Right, because you can actually say, well, I'm going to not take your money, which is very hard to do.
Very hard to do.
Say, I'm going to not take your money, and we're going to narrow down that list to you know, 40 people at the wedding that we want to have.
Yes. So you want to talk specifics. Very, very important.
Okay. So before the wedding, make sure you figure that out. You say do premarital counseling.
Yeah.
A lot of people have to do this anyways if you're getting married with certain churches. Yeah. But it's usually just like a 10-course sort of thing before.
It's very fluffy.
It's not in depth.
It's not in depth.
So you're saying do more. Do more.
And so this is kind of okay, so Brett and I have been married for 15 years this summer, and this is his, I'm excited.
Amazing.
It is amazing.
That's pretty good.
And it was actually his idea.
To do premarital counseling?
Which is interesting. So this is my field, and I remember we're engaged. He's like, honey, I think we should do some premarital counseling. I'm like, really? And I'm like, he's like, yeah, I think it'd be good for us. So clearly he felt, I know, I'm like, this is my field. He goes, no, I think it'd be good if we had a third party. I'm like, really? Like, I don't know really how to take that, but clearly he felt that we needed a third party, and I gotta tell you, it was awesome.
Really?
It was awesome. We did about maybe 15 sessions. Yeah. A trained marriage and family therapist. She was amazing, and she pulled out of stuff, things we hadn't really figured out yet.
So what are the sorts of things you did in that counseling? Like, she talked about things like communication.
Communication around how decisions are getting made. The really big one that we talked about was roles in terms of who's going to do what, in terms of like very practical things. Who's going to do what?
Division of labor.
Division of labor, and when you know who did it in my family, who did it in his family, because we tend to repeat the patterns of our family. Yeah. And so she had us kind of look at our own families, kind of origins growing up. That was really powerful. Money. That was a big issue because he was a full-time student and I was the one earning money. Yeah. And that's tricky in couples. And so just helping us kind of articulate that and realizing, you know what, we all have blind spots. We all have blind spots. And so she's been kind of a bit of a go-to person. If things will kind of pop up going, gosh, we need to, then we go back to her.
Oh, that's so smart.
It's so good.
A third party is a smart preventive thing to do. We did that near the beginning of our marriage. Okay. We were having this money issue because Leo grew up poor. So his money is like, money equals security. And I'm like, seize the moment. Let's live a little.
Yes, celebrate.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, no, this threatens my security. Right. So we went and saw a couples counselor, and literally the issue was nipped in the bud. Yeah. He got us to look at a bunch of different milestones, and he said, okay, your trajectory is going up. Leo, how do you feel about this? He said, I kind of feel secure. Can you let go a little bit? And I was like, hey, I was right.
Yeah, it wasn't just that, you're like, this is a good idea.
I win. It wasn't just
I was right, you're wrong.
It was more like I went more to this, to the middle, and he came more to the middle, and this is sort of where we live now. So do it, get help. A third party is crucial.
Third party is so good. And you think about how much money we spend on one day. One day. How much money we spend on one day, and versus actually investing into the overall relationship.
Good point.
I think it's a really, really important piece.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Okay, so plan extra time at your wedding to be relaxed. I love this tip.
Yeah. So plan extra time to be relaxed. There was I posted on Facebook and Twitter, and I got a huge amount of responses. And there was a number of people that actually said that they didn't get enough help.
Yeah.
And then as a result, they weren't able to really fully enjoy the moment. And so I had somebody actually tell me, which was very helpful, try to get, and it's a hard thing to do, but try to get pretend like your wedding is a whole week earlier.
Yep.
Like just putting your calendar, it's like a whole week earlier. And so the last week is really more of a time to actually relax versus everything's kind of like last minute.
Oh, that's a tough one.
It's a tough one.
But yeah, I get it. I understand how that could be. I didn't do that.
No, but I'm surprised because you're like planner.
I'm very organized. I didn't like planning my wedding though.
You didn't like planning your wedding?
I don't know. There's like I want to go to the party. I don't want to plan the party.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
So it's like, oh wow, this is a big party that I have to do all the work for. Awesome. So I and I got cranky after the photo session because we did the photos after the church, and I felt myself getting cranky, and it was because the photographer went somewhere and I didn't know she was going there and we weren't there. Leo goes, come here. And we went into the reception hall before anyone was there. It was a restaurant, and he ordered us champagne. And he said, just breathe. Because for him, the ceremony was the big nerve-wracking thing. For me, I wanted the party to be perfect. And he was like, we made it. Just have a drink. We're married. Like, just breathe. And the rest of the night was awesome.
Oh, that's so good.
It was good. I danced my feet off.
Oh, I love it.
It was good. The party was good. So I enjoyed my wedding.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Yeah. I don't ever want to plan one again.
Yeah. Well, that's good. You don't do it. One is all you need.
Never again.
Yeah. One is all you need.
Yeah. Okay. So stop, breathe, soak in the moment. We sort of just talked about that, right?
Yeah, and that was the one thing I want to say. That was probably the best piece of advice actually I got from somebody, and this is really good for all brides paying attention. The day goes by so fast.
Yeah.
It's all this planning, and then boom, it's like it's done. And I had somebody say, Karyn, look for 2 moments during the day where you're like stop and just soak it in.
Yeah.
And the first time is when we actually went down the aisle. We found a little room, and I just looked at Brent, and I'm like. Right? Like, I'm your wife. You're my husband. I mean, look, and the whole world was like waiting, and it was like that moment I will never. It's like embedded in my brain.
That's so
sweet. Soak in the moment. Look for one moment where you can like literally. It's like a video in your brain.
For sure. Oh, I love that.